Still trying to trade alone? Time to surround yourself with winners and conquer the markets. Join the 5-star rated trading Discord, where pros, futures traders, and crypto killers sharpen their edge daily. Daily plans, live calls, alerts, and trading tools. Join free today. No credit card, no BS.
Hey, what's up? We're back. How we doing? So today is Thursday, and it was a crazy freaking day. I was so tired and tuckered out, I had to take a nap before the bell rang. That's why I'm running a little late today, so I apologize. Coming into this day about 20 minutes late, but here we are, and I've got some fresh content for you guys, so we'll make this good. Before we get started, let's just kick it off with this. If you are not following me currently, please do. Ryan Bailey Edge across all social media platforms, YouTube, Substack, Twitter. Follow me, check it out. You can check it out in this post. I have a 30-day free Substack giveaway for the trade plans. Highly worth it. Amazing. We're going to go over exactly why they're so good here today and how today's played out. And we're going to talk a little bit about what's going to happen later today or tomorrow, and some other assets. So looking forward to it. Go ahead and check, follow me along and like, subscribe, retweet, all that good stuff. Spread the word. Let's get this out to people. So, all right, now let's get right into it. So we had an epic day today. We had an insane sell-off right from our highest untested level. So one of the biggest things that we experienced today was a liquidation break. And liquidation breaks, it's interesting with ES. I actually wrote an article that was in the Substack, and I'll show you guys here shortly, but it's why the S&P 500 takes the elevator down, but the stairs back up. And that's exactly what happened today. So the ES seems to only have a couple different approaches here. We either have stairs up or we grind higher, and sometimes they gap higher, do their thing. Like last night we had NVIDIA earnings, but they continue to push. But they at least they'll back test things and go. And then there's the sell, and the sell is brutal, and they just chop through levels and just let everybody have it. So, I was joking around a little bit. I'm an Apex affiliate, and I just watched this thing go down like, I don't know, it must have been 100+ points in less than an hour. And I tweeted, I'm like, hey, Apex is having an 80% off sale because I know people were going to need them today. It was crazy. So I'm going to just turn this on real fast. Let me just pull this over. So this is, and I kind of thought about this, after I started the stream. This is a great article that you guys should definitely check out. It explains why the ES does what it does, why we have these huge liquidation breaks, and why they go back down. We also give some really good statistics on not only the psychology of it, but also, this is interesting right here. So it takes the S&P 25 calendar days to experience a 10% correction, but it takes for a full 100% recovery from that drop. A lot of times it takes 95 days. So that's 3 times as long to go back up. So, stairs down, elevator up. A lot of this has to do with options and the way that they're negatively skewed and so on and so forth. And so this just makes a really good read. I suggest you check this out. All you got to do is come up and, wrong one. Just check out, it's all the way at the top. It's underneath my section that's called Inside the Mind of a Pro Trader. So it's in there. You can take a look at it, and it's a really good read. So let's go ahead and get into exactly what happened today. And then I also want to talk to you about Bitcoin and stuff, because I bought some Bitcoin today. So it's a good spot for that. So let me figure out, I made a lot of content right before, coming right into this. So let me look and see where we're at. Okay, I think this is a good one to start out with. Okay. So this was pre-market, guys, and we have talked about this 23 daily for some time when we were underneath it. For those of you guys who know, who was in the room and following along last night, this was like a bigger upside target for me. And I'll just go ahead and pull this up. And again, I'm kind of going on the fly here. I wasn't thinking about any of this. This is all just kind of coming to me right now. So as you can see right here, like last night, the NVIDIA earnings were coming through, and as soon as the market opened, I bought, right? And here was the 23 daily that I was obviously shooting for. They went much higher than that, but that was a big cue for me. And so we were in the room, we were after that all day long. So in the morning, pre-market, they rolled off of this 50-day moving average, just like we talked about in the plan, and they come back down and they played the 67.23. Well, also in the plan, we talked about how this 67.38 is the sub leg to the all-time high. And we have talked about this in the room so many freaking times, but I'm going to show you anyway, just one more time, because some people are going to be brand new to this and some people aren't. But this is the 38 right here. This is the sub leg to the all-time high. And so the idea is for us to stay above that. Here was our 23 sub leg that we played. And then here was, see, this didn't even make a new high. So for me, it wasn't that important, but this 38 was more important to me. And so this is what I wanted to show you here. So as you can see in this, we played 23, we popped up, we had the 8:30 a.m. news. See, 23 held, and a perfect retest of the 38. They touched it on the news, and we popped up, okay? Then we had the 61 daily. Right above the 61 daily, we had our big options vol level. We also had a put levels here that we put out in the plan. And, I was asked to actually do a video on these, and maybe I'll talk about it today. That might be helpful after we're done talking about these plans, but how to use these options levels. I publish these every morning, and maybe we'll just go over that today. Maybe that's a good idea. So that was a big thick level here in the day in the weekly from 61. And so you're like, okay, what weekly from 61? Well, we talked about this many times. This was the leg down, the weekly from 61. Okay. So we also had the developing, well, it's not developing. It was a leg up from 60 and just call it 61. And obviously this was our upper range, which was the 88.50. So we literally went from 61 to 88 today on the upside move, which I'll show you here momentarily, okay? And this is where we essentially finished our morning at, okay, pre-market. So we come into the day, and I'm in the room, and let me find this. Okay, sorry, I got a lot of content today. I made a bunch of stuff. So the immediate resistance here was 54 to 61. Well, when I put this plan out, this was before the 8:30 news. So it was resistance. It was above us, right? So now that we're above it, it becomes support, because what is once resistance now becomes support. Think about it like that, right? So it's like you're over the hump. So now you can use it as support. So the 61 was the tested weekly level that we used for the mark of above or below. Okay. Below that, or we also had above that, we had the tested daily at 74 and the previous weekly value area low at 77. Okay. This is all going to come into play. I'm going to show you, I promise. And then of course we have our big reactionary zone, which is the 67.88, which is our monster weekly that we've talked about multiple times, which we brought it over here. This was our leg tip at 88.50. And it was also an untested 4-hour, which I'll show you here shortly, but present. And I was expecting a reaction. So let's go ahead and just get into how we played it this morning. So this was how it went down this morning. This is where we opened, and we basically, I was like, there's immediate resistance at 74. Let's see what happens. I'd like a pullback into 50. It's like we're only 108 points up, which is crazy. But, gap and go days are crazy like that. So when I saw them back test this gray dash line, which is our weekly at 67, 61.75, I immediately started thinking, okay, maybe this isn't going to go down, right? And then I looked at my footprint, and this is all, you see that gray dash line? That's the weekly. These were all sellers right here who basically got stuffed. These are guys who tried to short the open and couldn't get it down there. So as soon as I saw these guys, they got absorbed by all the buyers. And then these big buyers stepped in. I hit it. I got long, right? And so we even talk about massive absorption at the lows, back test to this weekly. We could just go, we'll see the 74 daily is a major pivot, right? And so you could see that we were back testing. We were right in this daily, but it was clearly tested. You could see the test right here. I'm looking at the 4-hour candle on this chart because that's my main go-to. Love my 4-hour. It's my jam, my mamma jamma. And so you can see I'm long. And, I'm long from 71. They pulled back. I added back into here. Had a nice little stop. And, it was 10 points, but whatever. I mean, with the volatility that we've had lately, 10 points is pretty normal these days, which is crazy because this thing is juking. So, of course, I took my first target right past the 77.50, which was obviously a little early, but I didn't know. Okay, we had the previous weekly value area low there, and we had that 4-hour there, which did I say what it was? I don't even know if I said what it was. Doesn't matter. Looks like it's about 82, 81, whatever. But, I follow the plan, right? So I knew that 74 was big. We needed to pop it. I knew 77 was big as well, and so I took money there, okay? And then my next target was the 85.75 because I was front running this particular area. As you can see, I had 5 cars on, and I took 2 and 2, and I left a runner just in case they got jiggy. You know what I mean? You never know. I didn't know. I mean, we just had NVIDIA earnings, it's carrying this joint. We're up 100 points. I'm like, man, maybe we just grind all day. And who the hell knows? All right. So once again, putting this out in the room for everybody, and this follows the plan. Okay. So I don't want you to think that, just because I'm talking to the room, it doesn't coincide with the plan, because it does. These levels are in here, which is one reason why I show you what's in the plan, and then I show you how I trade it. Okay, so it back tested the weekly at the open. There you go. VIX falling hard, so I had to try gap and go for reals because VIX was dying. All right, so when we first started the day, VIX was dying. Obviously, that all changed quite significantly. And I don't know which thing I should show you first. I really don't. I've got a bunch of shit here, so let me look and see real quick. Let's see what the next thing I want to show you, because obviously I got flat up into here. I got trailed out on my long because we reversed. So let's see here. Let me find this. Okay, yeah, this one works. Okay, so this was our VIX analysis. Okay, so this is me, obviously, before the news even, right? Because I try to get this out at 8:30. And so, the VIX is extremely weak this morning. And I just want to emphasize, when I put this out, VIX was right here. Okay, this was VIX, right? We were sitting right on this weekly. Okay, so I'm like, it's extremely weak this morning. We moved below our significant monthly, which we've talked about this monthly at 22. What is this? 28, probably 100 times. Okay, it's bullish for ES when we start to move lower than all this. My target, but here's the main thing: my target, if we move lower, is the 1913 weekly, and below the 1913, the 1950 in the 1952, it implies immense weakness in the ES. Well, this kind of goes in. So as you can see at 10 o'clock, I end up getting flat, and I'm looking at VIX. And the first thing I say to everybody at 10 o'clock in the morning is I'm eyeing this spot for a potential bounce. Okay. And there's a reason. We just hit our big 88 spot that I was looking for a reaction on the 4-hour. VIX made this sweep. We came into this untested spot down here on the weekly. And I'll go ahead and now I'll pull this over. It might be a little premature. I didn't really think about how to lay this out to you guys. So let's just go ahead and just bring this over. So this is it, right? So this was the 1913 weekly. They swept this low. This weekly was untested. They got back above the 1952, okay? And then back above our 2078 because we're starting to fall under 2078. As soon as I saw us getting above 2078, I said, man, this thing is about to blow, right? And so, boom, we go. And before we knew it, we were all the way up. I'm talking about, man, it's crazy. Couldn't believe this. And this obviously was the one of the big inverse catalysts here for our move, right? So I'm watching all this at the same time that this happens, okay? So this was our AM short. So this is right out of the trade plan. This is our first untested level. A 4-hour at 87 lines up perfectly with the weekly at 88. Okay. Even though the weekly is untested, the presence of the 4-hour implies a reaction is likely. Well, why did I think that? Well, first off, it's the highest untested in this entire move. Let's just pull out a real chart. Okay. The other thing that was significant here, and I forgot to take a picture of it, but we talked about it in the room quite a few times. I even talked about it last night with a gentleman that I did a chat with as I was trying to help him with one of his trades. This was the big thought right here. This is what I put out this morning. Today is difficult because we haven't gained on the daily time frame despite the massive gap up. We didn't even gain on the 4-hour. Okay, so stick to the plan and look for the areas that are untested below to trigger longs on sweeps. Now, obviously, we were up quite considerably. VIX was down. I didn't expect us to get annihilated today. I knew we hadn't gained, so I was being extremely cautious. The idea was to play, this was our great level as we had some singles that need to be repaired, which I obviously pointed out to individuals here in the plan as well. Here, I'll show you what it looked like. Let me find it. Here we go. So we were all the way up here. We're all the way up here, right? We were building in this value. They push up. We had some singles down here. We had a daily at 06. So my thought was, okay, come down here and play this. We'll be in this high. We'll repair this, whatever. That was kind of my goal all morning, which they ended up doing. Okay. But what I wanted to show you was as we came into the day, especially, in the room with caution, and that's one of the perks of being in the room is, I'm constantly giving my live feedback here. The idea is even though we were up, we just have to be careful. You got to be careful always because anything can happen clearly. But being untested like this being untested and not gaining was a huge deal. Okay. And VIX not only did VIX have a great spot, but SPX had a great spot as well. I didn't take any SPX pictures, but it certainly doesn't hurt for me to pull this over. I'll show you. And I think you'll see some screenshots when we talk about this. Guy in my room actually pointed out the 67.69 for me, which I didn't even have. The reason I didn't have it is because it was tested. What I had was the daily at 67.60. And there was also a 4-hour there as well, which I'll show you. And we talk about, there you go. See, for me, that's legit play. But, none of this stuff gained. We had to close the 4-hour above this to gain, and they didn't. So they opened, they back tested, and we made a new low. And that's ultimately how this worked. And so we had the confluence going both ways here. Like, okay, we didn't gain. VIX is popping. This is untested. But where do we buy? Right. And so that was the issue because we were up so high. And, the assumption is they're not going to make new lows. But they did. They did. It's insane. What an incredible day today. 230 point down move was just absolutely unreal. So there's that. Okay. So we talked about this. This is in the plan, all that good stuff. All right. Now, let's see. Now, what else do I have? Okay. So my first 6,700 long. Okay. Here we go. So right out of the plan. So, this thing was screaming down. And here's another big thing that I want to point out to you guys. When the ES is screaming down, don't get in front of it. Okay. It is so dangerous. You can tell when something was wrong. All right. And I could tell the moment we broke this area here, which was my primary ideal play. The first thing I said, which I'll show you soon, is there's got to be news. It's got to be news because for me, this was a great setup. And the fact that it actually didn't really go kind of threw my alarm up a little bit, right? So here was my first ideal long, okay? So this was the 6704, 6706. We had the daily at 06 that we played 100 times over. So the ideal scenario is look for the profile to be repaired and this area to play, between 06 and 04 and reclaim yesterday's high at 09 for the trigger. Well, obviously the 09, just to make it clear for you guys, is this tan line, okay? I'm long, I add into it. I'm like, okay, cool, this is going to work. And I got my first target. That's all I got. I wanted to get the second target up at 38. Didn't quite get there. So if you recall, this 23 and 38, those were the dailies that we played pre-market for the push up. Okay. So did this play nice? Yeah, it played real nice. I mean, you're basically talking about 09 to 22, or actually went to about, I don't know, went to about 30. So it pulled about 20 points, which was pretty sweet. I was obviously looking for the more. So I got my first target. So I even said I may add over 24 if it goes. It didn't. And I got stop BE. So anyways, and then one of the big things that I was looking at was Bitcoin. You guys know I'm all over that. It's the lead, right? You got to wait for Bitcoin to stop bleeding. And Bitcoin is hurting. It's hurting, but I bought some today, so we'll get to that. So anyways, this was my very first long for the day, straight out of the plan. That's the way I played it. You know, if it's in the plan, essentially this is how I roll. Okay, so let me look and see what this says. Which one was this? I think, okay, we went over that. Okay, yeah, here we go. Post news long. So there I am. Here we go. There has to be news. Indeed, there was. Not just any news. The Fed, like, trying to wreck this market. Look at this. Fed Governor Lisa Cook warned that high valuations in stocks, corporate bonds, housing, and loans increase risk of sharp market declines. That is an insane thing for the Fed to say. They tanked the market, literally. And we were pretty close at the highs at this point. It was like 11:45 when this news came out. I think right after, I don't know where it was in the sequence, but clearly once the 06 didn't play, 6706, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I pull it out and look, and then look at VIX. You know, obviously I showed you what it looked like, you know, ultimately, but this was when the news, I laughed my ass off. Look, they swept and went. And the thing was we were all over this. We knew this was coming. You know, when I saw VIX sweep and start to go, I mean, we were on it way down here. I'm like, hey, I'm watching this reaction down here. Well, it never stopped, which immediately made me on the defensive with taking longs and being extremely risk adverse. So when I got longs, like I said, you saw me get my first target. I got up underneath it, was trying to protect my ass, and it's a good thing. So, you know, that's how it worked. So what's up, Kristen? I will get to your answer shortly. Okay. So this is a big deal, right? Like this is, you know, this is one of the many perks of being in the room. I hate to keep saying that, but it's true. Just because I'm a trader. I trade full time. I trade with the guys in the room. We've got strong crew, and I'm just constantly keeping people updated. I'm sitting in front of 8 screens, if you guys didn't know. So I've got VIX up, Bitcoin, ES. I've got all kinds of shit we're looking at. So it helps me, you know, keep the guys and the girls and girls too, because, you know, Beth is one of our superstars, you know, just in line doing our thing. So that was a big deal right here. So let's see what else we got. This says post AM long. What do we have here? Oh, this is the one I forgot. I forgot to show you guys this, by the way. But this was another catalyst here. So this was after and I want to show you this. I could skip this over, but I think this is important to show you guys because this is kind of goes in with the sequence of what I was talking about. Okay, so this long right here that we talked about, where I was long at the open and we're coming up and I take all these profits into the weekly. Sorry, I know this is way out of sequence now, but you know, this is where I got flat on the long. Okay, start talking about this reaction zone, which was the high, eyeing this spot for the bounce. You can see right here, I was talking about this, you know, and then, you know, yes, it's perfect. It plays out perfect. But this is where it all started. And I obviously right here, and I'm letting people know this is a big spot for SPX as well. And sorry to kind of go out of tune with you guys here. You know, I like to try to keep the story in line, but I thought it was very important to show you this just because, you know, we're guiding this through the steps as we go. And so I try to keep everything, you know, everybody in tune with what's happening. And this is part of what I'm trying to show you guys basically. So, so there's that. So that basically was the end of the morning. Okay. So after that, and here's something cool. Check this out. This is something I noticed after it was all over with. Look at that. Almost like a massive head and shoulders on this short as well, which I didn't see till after the fact. Not that it mattered because I don't play patterns, but I liked, it was a good look. So I thought that was cool. So after the 06 didn't play, well, then what? Well, the trade plan only took us down to, I think I only did the trade plan down to 66.05. And after that, I didn't expect this kind of move today. So what we did do though, so here's the next play. So I'm in the room, I'm telling everybody, okay, guys and girls, excuse me, watch for the sweep, right? The 100-day moving average is about 60, 65, 77. Now they have swept the lows. If they reclaim 05, we could get a nice reversal, right? So you can see right here, we just swept the low. My indicator went off for, liquidity grab, and we're back above 05, right? So here I am in the middle. I'm laying into this thing. At this point, I had 12 cars on by the time I got the picture up. Well, the ones I took a picture of for you guys. I had 6 left. I had already gotten one of my targets here at the overnight low or yesterday's low. And, at this point, I've moved up to break even. So VIX came all the way up. And if you guys are following in the trade plans, we had a daily level, which we've, went over quite a few times. And I'll just pull over VIX to show you guys. For those of you guys, obviously I didn't include it in today's plan because I didn't think we'd freaking see it. But I guess that's what you never know. So this was our daily level on VIX. This was our ceiling. And we've talked about this. I think it was just in there yesterday. So this was the ceiling. Okay. So after I saw that this daily was getting a little action here, it's starting to pull back, I'm feeling pretty good about this long. So at this point, I ended up squeezing this all the way up. I don't even know how many points we got out of that. Pretty much everybody in the room was in this. Let's see how long was that? How long? Let's see. That was from 95 to 55. So we got 60 points out of that. And as you can see, I kept one on, and I ended up getting trailed out on my runner just in case it decided to go. But one of the places that I would normally always take profits is yesterday's point of control. Okay, absolutely fabulous place to take a profit here. I actually was pointing this out to people in the room. I always take money there regardless of what happens. So great spot. It all worked out, got hit on the trail, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that was a super awesome trade today that actually kind of saved my bacon and made for a good day for me. Okay. And then what do we got? What do we got? Hang on. Let's see what we got. And then what do we got? Oh, here we go. So after that didn't follow through, I thought, well, that could be the low, but it wasn't. All right. So then we come back down, right? So here we go. And I put this out in the room, and my boy Zug, he grabbed on it with both hands. I just looked in the scoreboard. He crushed it. I'll show you guys here shortly. So potential short setup at 0750 if you want to play the 1 hour, right? Giving it to everybody right here. 100-day moving average play good so far, 78 to 07, because I was letting people know, hey, we're sitting on the 100-day. This is more than likely going to pop here. A lot of people like to play moving averages, and that was that. So as you can see, I'm short from like 05, that's that green line. And I'm bringing it down. I get first target and ultimately end up getting my second target down here, okay, or close to it. So, going BE, kind of keeping everybody in line with what's happening. And I like to keep everybody abreast of what I'm doing. I trade the plan. If I put it out there, I'm trading it. And that's what you guys, need to understand is a lot of times if I post it on Twitter that I'm looking at this or this looks cool or whatever, I'm already in this mofo, right? Or I'm thinking about it. I don't put stuff out there for the fun of it. I mean, if I put the trade plan out there, I'm more than likely taking that trade. If I say, hey guys, there's a short here. If it gets love, I'm taking it. I'm in it, right? And so people who've been trading with me a long time know that. So, they look at this and they say, oh, he's talking about this. He's eyeing this real hard, right? So I can't tell you guys how to trade, but I can show you what I'm looking at. It's up to you to make your own decision. So this was the final trade for me at the end of the day. And I was so mentally exhausted. I went and laid my ass down, but they actually went much further than this. At the end of the day, I'll show you guys, and I'm sure you were paying attention here. So here is the end of the day. This is the short that I took, right? And then Zug, I think I ended up only taking it from here to here, and then I went napped. So he went and actually grabbed this and took it all the way down, which was another 60 points down towards the end of the day, which was just a phenomenal trade. So congratulations, Zug. That's what's up. You made it work. You sat through it. When I woke up and saw it, I was like, man, damn. Okay. I should have kept my ass awake, but it is life. I had a good day. And so that's that. So I will pull this over just to show you guys what's cracking. Let's see, where's my Discord? Where are we at? Here's my man Zug. So I had a good day. I ended up doing 153 points on that one long, which was awesome. And then actually the two longs, I had the 07, and then I had the sweep at the low. And then this is that one little short. So I ended the day with 176 points, which I'm very happy about. Okay, so let me just go ahead and throw this in here real fast. Hang on. Appreciate that. And then here we go. My man Zoo, he blasted it. All right, he made this work. He made $1,400 on that short. Congratulations to him. That was super freaking awesome. And yeah, just kudos, man. That was great. So, everybody in here is doing good. We've actually had some super duper killers. I don't know why a lot of these guys, I tell them every morning, like, hey, can you guys post stuff? And I post this stuff on the scoreboard. Our room is just rocking. We've got a group of guys. I've talked about this guy, TML, before. He's taking trades at 3 and 4 in the morning. He's up with his kid before anybody else is awake. And there you go. And let's see here. Look at this guy. I wake up almost every single morning to this guy putting up his P&L. Come on, where we go? Come on, where is he at? I don't know where he's at. I don't know where it's at. But this guy was up $2,000 before I even woke up this morning. I don't know where it's at. Doesn't matter. It's all good. So with that being said, that is that for the day. So the trade plan was awesome. It worked. But more importantly, one of the things that was really important for you guys is A, the short worked great. B, you never know what's going to happen. And you just have to stay on point. This is where the big part that I wanted to show you guys. And I think this is going to be really important for you to understand. And let me go ahead and just throw this up here. I actually, this is one thing I want to emphasize. I can throw levels out there and all day long, but the thing is you have to understand how to execute off of them. So the actionable setups are what keeps you safe. Okay. So me personally, and I'll tell you how I trade my own plan. I put a small resting order at the levels that I'm confident in. Okay. Small, right? Maybe 1 or 2 contracts, right? And then I know what my risk is. Okay. When the actionable side of this plays, then I will add into my trade. Or if I'm questioning whether this is a trade that's going to work, I will wait for the actionable setup. Okay. And, this is one of these ideals where I was telling you, I wait for this to play and get back above, the previous day's low or high, as my actionable setup. The thing is there was a lot of levels in the trade plan that had actionable setups today that they didn't come to fruition. It's not that the trade plan was bad. It's the simple, we had a liquidity break. And if the trade didn't trigger off the actionable setup, you don't take the trade. So if you waited for the actionable setups and you didn't just take every level that was there, you did amazing today, which is exactly what I showed you what I did. This was the only one that really played out. I think the other one that played out, and I don't think I actually took a picture of it. The other one that played out at the end of the day, or towards the end of the day, and we were all in this. Actually, I know that we were talking about it, and I didn't throw this out there. Where is it at? Right here. Let's see. This right here, the 6605 to 07 weekly 1 hour area, they claim and trigger above 13, targeting 30. They did this, okay, today. We were in this trade. But again, I waited until they were above the 30, or until they were above this 66.13. I didn't just get in because I wasn't sure. We were falling so fast. I was already expecting new lows. We hadn't gained anything. We were coming in hot. And so we took this and I waited. I liked this setup yesterday, but I waited. I waited until it triggered. And so when it triggered, we took it and it worked. It worked really well, but it didn't get any follow through. So we all made money there. We all protected ourselves because I was telling everybody, hey, listen, this thing is probably going to make new lows. And it did. So, that's that. So that is the trade plan. Let me take a look at some questions here. Amazing day today. Oh, what's up, Beth? Yeah, another great day. Thanks. Oh, you're welcome, Beth. I am so happy you're enjoying these trade plans. You've been an amazing addition to the room. And I am really happy that you've made some progress here. So I've got a ton of new people there in the room and in the trade plan, and a lot of people have been thanking me for the clarity. And so Beth, thank you for constantly reminding me that of this, because it keeps me motivated, and I'm glad to know that you're doing well. It's helpful for me. I mean, it's encouragement for sure to know that, what I'm doing is the right thing. So thank you so much. Let me take a look at what we have here before we go on. Kristen, how do you join the room? Well, Kristen, here's the deal. The room is the Discord is actually only for course holders or Substack members only. So if you want to get access to the Discord room, you have to be a paying Substack subscriber, right? And then I'm willing to give you Discord room access, no problem. But one of the terms of being in our Discord room is you either have to be a course holder and they get lifetime access to the Discord, or you have to be a Substack subscriber, okay? So if you're interested, check it out. I have a 30-day free trade plan. You're more than welcome to sign up. But if you want to come into the room, I obviously need you to switch over to the paid side and come check it out. Speaking of that, guys, I have one slot left. I'm giving away 30 days free to the room for the first 5 subscribers, who hit me up for this. I've gotten 4 takers so far. I have 1 slot left. So if you're interested in checking out the Discord room, all you got to do is sign up for the Substack, and I will hook you guys up, and you can come in and check out the Discord room. It is so worth it, as you can see. And at this point, it's 30 days free. You got nothing to lose. So check it out. Check it out. Check it out. All right. So let's get rid of that. So now that we've covered all those bases, we could talk about what's going to happen tomorrow. We could also talk about, I'm running over on time already. I'm at 37 minutes. Let's talk about, instead of talking about tomorrow, you guys get the trade plans. You can figure that out for yourself and the people in the room. Let's talk about Bitcoin. I want to talk about this. This is huge. It's obviously in the market, right? Or it's in the news. Everybody's talking about it. I got people hitting me up left and right, like, hey, where should I be buying? What am I doing? Family members calling me. All this jazz, right? So guys, I have talked about this spot for I don't know how long. It's been weeks. I've been talking about this spot. It's literally a weekly chart. I've been talking about, this spot. If you go back and look, I've been talking about this for at least a month. We were up here. I said, man, this is the leg. This is where you mortgage your house, etc. Just kind of joking around, but not really. At the same time. So here we are right now, 86,087. I had resting orders this morning, literally, or this afternoon at 86,250. I front ran it a little bit because I wanted to get filled. Look at that touch. Beautiful. Okay. Now, can it come lower? It can come lower still. It is possible. I was looking at, also I got orders sitting at 82,750 all the way down to 78,000, 750 or something like that. So right now, Bitcoin needs to get back above 88,765 for some continued upside, which it hasn't done yet. We're just getting a little reaction right now. So I don't know if this is going to be it or not. Right now, the S&P is looking a little rough, but we're coming into some real significant support soon. So, everything's starting to line up for me right now. It's like we were expecting new lows last week. Of course, they had to fuck around and, wipe everybody out before they did it. But they did it. Then we finally were down here. Here we are. And then obviously you've got Bitcoin starting to get into support. So I bought this today, almost a perfect low, which I'm pretty happy about, at least for now. Who knows? But, it could come lower. And then obviously we want to talk about, if this leg doesn't hold, which I think it will. But if it doesn't, we have an amazing buying opportunity at 71. We want to see it get back above the low here at 74, and then we could squeeze all the way back up. But this is one thing, for whatever reason, I'm not scared of Bitcoin ever. I don't know why, but I like crypto better than stock for something. I don't know. I just believe in it. Maybe I'm just crazy, but I will hold the shit out of some Bitcoin. So here we go. And this was a great spot for everybody who took advantage of me calling out this spot for freaking ever, right? So great, great, great spot. Good stuff. Now, the other end of the spectrum, Ethereum, right? It's my boy Piper. I know he's dying over here. He's been holding Ethereum for like since 2012. He's like, it's going to 15. I know it's going. It's going to hold it. And he's got a sack of this shit. I can't even imagine this guy's got fucking balls of steel. So here we come down in here. We are actually getting into some major support here on ETH. I really want to start buying really at $2,600 to $2,500. May not get that opportunity, or I may get that opportunity. I don't know. But right now, looks like 2750 was pretty good support. I didn't have that marked prior. Actually didn't even see it. Wasn't really paying attention to it like Bitcoin, but this is a good spot. But if we do come down into 2,600, I'd like to buy some of this. For real, this shit is like 50% off right now. So 44%. If we can get down into my pocket, it's like 47%. So I like that. That's what's up. And this is where I bought it last time and took it all the way up. So certainly not upset about that. And like I told you guys, I got one out of one of them at all-time highs, which was dope because I'm always taking money at new highs, which is what you're supposed to do, duh, right? Because that's the goal, right? And then I carried one down and got out of it. I don't know. So we're around 34 grand, something like that. So now it's time to reload the bags, reload. And so that is a good one. And I will more than likely buy my ETH on ETHA. So looking at ETHA, I like this 1965 spot, $20 right in there somewhere. And then, this is Bitcoin. So, we're down in the pocket right now. Well, hello. And this already is sitting back above the weekly here on Bitcoin ETF. So as you can see, this thing's starting to get a little love. There you go. Starting to get a little love in this area, which you saw on Bitcoin as well. So again, I think this can come down a little bit farther. I hope Bitcoin doesn't, but I mean, if I want these Ethereum fills, they're going to have to. So that's what I got for you guys. We've talked about a lot today. We've talked about liquidity breaks. I've given you an article to read on the website, that we've discussed, talking about elevator down, stairs up, why this happens. We talked about the trade plan. We've talked about the levels that play, how to use the actionable setups. So important. Don't just take the levels. Don't just blindly take levels. You have to let them prove themselves. I mean, until you get really comfortable with the process, or you're a course holder, and at this point you understand things thoroughly, then you can put resting orders and stuff there. But the idea is let the trade prove itself, especially when we're breaking from liquidity, guys. The ES only does two things. It walks up or it fucking slams down. That's it. That's what it does. We barely have any small sales. Look at the chart. We walk up and they slam down. When we're slamming down, do not try to catch this thing until we make a new low. And, I showed you there was a perfect spot. I loved it. Didn't really work. Played for a little bit, but it's I'm not in it for that. I want to move, right? So that's the deal. And we're buying Bitcoin. This is the spot. Can it come lower? Absolutely. Only obviously afford what you can, afford to lose or hold for a long time. At this point, buying here for Bitcoin for me seems like a steal. Of course, I say that now until it goes to 40 grand, but who knows? So I just have to buy some more then. So I will leave you guys at that. Tomorrow is Friday. So the trade plan will be out in the morning, but I will not be here for the post-market breakdown. So I will see you guys on Sunday when I do the weekend review. And if you guys are interested in this last slot I have for the 30 days free of the Discord, let me know. Sign up for the Substack, hit me on the DM, and I'll get you guys in here and make it happen. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. This was a good one, and we went a little bit over time. I was late 15 minutes, but we're over 15 minutes. So I made up for it. So you guys have an excellent evening, and don't forget to like and subscribe and follow me and do all that stuff. Help everybody out, help me out, and I'll see you guys mañana. Cheers.